QUIGG and Cassius right from London. We're at the Landmark Hotel in London for the press conference with Frank Warren and Nathan Cleverley. With me, I've got Frank Warren. Hello, Frank.
Hello, QUIGG.
Someone tweeted me the other day, said, you always look scared when you're interviewing Frank Warren. I'm not scared.
No, of course you're not. What are you shaking for?
So if you tweeted me that...
That's him shaking with a camera, it's not you.
Just go on camera. James is forgiven, isn't he?
He is, yeah, he's forgiven. I don't know what he's forgiven for, but he's forgiven.
He's forgiven. James, you're off the hook.
Yeah.
You're off the hook. Frank will take you out in the car. Can you just explain to us, I know we've just had the press conference, explain to us the situation regarding Nathan Cleverley. The fight is set for August the 17th in Wales. We're going to find out later today, hopefully it's KOVALEV.
Yeah, back in 23rd of May we finally agreed moving the date for the third time, which was to the 17th of August with HBO for this fight. Terms are all agreed and we move forward, and there's been a lot of correspondence between Main Events office and my office. Main Events regarding getting visas, passport applications and so forth to get KOVALEV over here. We were asked not to announce the fight against Nathan until after his fight that was, I think it was on Friday in the States. He had a good win now. And then everything was on all ready to go, and we were going to announce it on Monday. Then I was asked on Sunday to push the press conference back till today. And yesterday around 9 o'clock in the evening I heard there was a problem.
So this fight will hopefully be confirmed to you later on today.
So.
Is there a backup plan if this fight doesn't happen with KOVALEV?
Yeah, but we, you know, I don't want to go into that at the moment, but there will be. Whatever happens, Nathan will fight on the 17th of August.
I read yesterday that the IBF have ordered Bernard Hopkins to defend his title against KOVALEV. Has that had something to do with this, or does that have implications on Nathan Cleverley's fight?
Going into the fight with KOVALEV, going into his fight on Friday, his people were all aware of and had agreed with HBO that the next fight would be, and I've got emails here confirming that the next fight, irrespective of that fight, would be against Nathan. So that's where we are. So the IBF have done what they always do when they have an eliminator. They immediately tell both parties, the challenger and the champion, that they have to enter into immediate negotiations, and if they can't agree, the fight goes out to purse bids. But KOVALEV was always going to be fighting Nathan on the 17th of August.
Nathan,
I think even I think it was even announced, wasn't it, on iFILM by
Eddie Hearn.
So he knows more than I know about it. Yeah. Ask him if you want to know what's going on.
Yeah, Eddie did announce that actually, but
no, I'm not saying that. But I mean, that's how in the industry everybody knew what was going down.
Well, if you want to announce any of Eddie's fights, you're more
I'm not even saying. I'm not even. No, you're missing the point. What I'm saying is he was aware of that because obviously HBO are doing a big show on the 17th, which I think involves one of his fighters, and that was what was going to be the three fights. So HBO, as far as we're concerned, it was all agreed, and it's only that Main Events, for some reason, are dragging their heels on this.
Nathan Cleverley in the press conference seemed very agitated by reading some comments about people on the forums, etc., talking about KOVALEV as a taxi driver, road sweeper, and basically calling him a journeyman by all accounts. But listen, I've seen this fella, and he ain't no journeyman. So,
but you know what? Let me just tell you something. That is unfortunate. You get people who say things for the sake of saying things. And I told him, what do you worry about it for? You know, on the forum, what is it? It's the same couple of morons who go on there. It no matter who Nathan Cleverley was fighting, they'll slag it off. Don't matter, you know, they'll slag it off. You get people do that and they get off on it. It's a good luck to them. At the end of the day, it's all about delivering the right fights. And I told Nathan he's bigger than that. Nathan's a champion. He's 26 years of age and he's got a long time to go in this game. And all he needs to do is to focus on his boxing and do what he's good at doing, which is winning fights. And that's all he needs to worry about. Forget about the rest of it.
How involved do you get on the social media side of things with Twitter and the forums? And do you take any notice of what's going on there?
Well, I don't Twitter, as you know. So I mean, there's some stuff comes out of my office, but I don't get involved in it because basically, you know, I don't think people really care what I've had for breakfast and where I'm going and so forth. You know, if you want to know what I'm doing, you will know my views on boxing. I haven't got to Twitter it out to 70,000 people. Just go and look in the Sun every week in my column, and 5 million people read that. So I'm quite content with what goes on with that. No, the only thing, the question as regarding what do people think what do I think is something's libelous is on there? And obviously I'll react to that like anybody would. You want stuff like that taken down. We're seeing a lot of things happening, not in boxing, but in other areas where you've had some of this twittering. I think Sally Burko recently, she had a court case from Lord McAlpine when she alleged that he was a paedophile, whatever it was, or said he was, and he quite rightly sued her. That is what's going to happen. That will happen, people. And I've had a few people who've had agendas. They got it. They moved from site to site. We've managed to track a couple of them down from their addresses and so forth. And it's amazing how they change their way once they know what they're saying is a lie. They know it's libelous. Once that gets, when you find out who they actually are, and they're not using pseudonyms because they haven't got the balls to do it, to use their own names, how they back off. But you get a few idiots. That happens in life. At the end of the day, true boxing fans know what true fights are, and true boxing fans buy tickets for fights. And I don't think I've really suffered over the years from having empty shows. People come up and come to the shows on the night and enjoy the shows. Now and again, you might get a bum show. That happens. You get a bum football match, on TV every now and then. But most of the shows we deliver are good quality, and most of the fighters I'm involved with are good quality fighters, and they deliver, and that's really all I care about. That's been my track record for a long, long time, and I don't think it's changed. I mean, the biggest show in the last 12 months still was Hay against Chisora. We delivered the fight that all the fans wanted to see, and we've done that and we constantly try to deliver the fights. We make big offers to fighters, $2.5 million to FROCH to fight for the WBO light heavyweight title and keep his own title, so he had some insurance there. It's up to him, he wants to do it or not. Catch weight fight, he chose not to do it, or his promoters chose not to go. Cole Frampton against Quigg. I offered Quigg £200,000, written offer. It was turned down within like 20 minutes.
What was the reason that was given for turning the offer down?
That it was too soon for him, because we wanted to put the fight on in September. I said, well, then we'll put it on in November. But if we wanted to said we wanted to put it on in 2020, it weren't going to happen, was it? Because they just won't take it. And I think that's a shame for the fans, and I think that's a shame for Scott Quigg, because Scott Quigg, when you look at where is he going to go, who is he going to fight next, it'd be very interesting to see who they put him in with next.
There was a video circulating around the social media sites the other day with Carl Frampton regarding to Eddie Hearn's comments when he was his promoter. Did you see the video, Frank?
I actually didn't see it.
You've lost that loving feeling.
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh.
You're in the wrong game.
No.
Yeah, go on, carry on.
But, you haven't seen it.
We're in the wrong game singing that.
But no, did that have anything to do with your lot? Where that video come from?
Do you think I've got time to
not you. I didn't say you've done it, but it was quite funny. Listen, to be honest with you, I did find it quite funny.
I have no idea, and I've got to tell you, so if they did, good luck to them. It's nice to see some of that stuff. Yeah, I haven't. I'll tell you what. You've told me something I've not even seen.
Oh, right.
I swear to you, I've not even seen it. But I'll have a look for it today.
Just some comments Eddie had made when he was his promoter about.
We know. It depends what side of bed he gets out, doesn't it? So what are you going to do? He says things.
Do you know what? We started our iFILM London around about 2.5 years ago, and we started with Frank Warren, with Matchroom, blah, blah, blah. So we sort of started at the top end of British boxing. Yeah. And when we first started, we were doing a lot of your shows. We've always done your shows for the last 2.5 years, and we were getting a lot of, you're Frank Warren people, you only do Frank Warren shows. Recently, we've been getting that on the flip side, that we only do Eddie Hearn stuff. Now, that's not true, because we come to all your stuff.
I've not said you don't.
No, this is just the perception out there.
It might be the perception. I mean, the only thing is, your worst. I think if that perception comes about, it comes about from one reason and one reason only. And I think that was it Eddie said in one of his last interviews about how you slag us off, according to him, behind our back. And I only tell you what he said. I don't believe you would do a thing like that. But that's
what you got to remember. Listen, what you got to remember is, we film these interviews. Hold on. We edit these interviews ourselves. Now, if I was really bothered about what Eddie Hearn said about me slagging you off or whatever he said, then surely that I would have thought, well, maybe that shouldn't go in there. I don't really care. Listen.
All you should do, you're doing a service for the boxing fans, and that comes first and foremost. Ask the questions, just say and say how it is. I haven't got a problem with that. My only problem has ever been about anything is when you got somebody like a Derek Chisora and a microphone shoved under his nose, and he's a little bit hotted up, and suddenly he might say something which he doesn't even mean, and then bang, it's there, and it causes problems for him and can affect his licence. That's my only thing, where people show a bit of discretion and a bit of common sense and understand that. because boxers sometimes will do things, and the rest of it, you know, myself and Barry Hearn are quite capable of looking after our own selves in interviews, as you know.
So just a final point on that, you do not find us biased towards the Matchroom camp over your camp? Because it's not the way it is.
I don't believe that they pay you money. I don't when you're expenses and give you lifts here. I don't believe any of that.
They do. Listen, they do give us lifts everywhere, and they have paid some expenses. That's true. But the £500 that's
well,
alleged.
I didn't believe it. You're telling that's what.
That's true. The £500 alleged weekly payment from Eddie Hearn is absolutely not true.
As he gives it, don't you get your 250 quid of it? Don't you let him about 500 quid I'll give you a week. You ever want to be half in that?
I know we're worth £1,000 to you all day long. If we're worth £500 to Eddie, we're worth £1,000 to you.
Yeah. In pesos.
Oh, well, listen. I was going to ask you, like I said, about the QUIGG thing. You've already answered that, and also the FROCH thing. So
it's sad for the fans. Those fights don't happen. They're genuine offers. They're proper offers. They're as I've made for God knows how many years. To different fighters, and you know, I want to see the best fights. We want to deliver the best fights. I have no problem, you know, when you've got another promoter who says that unless the fights are on Sky, they're not going to happen. That's wrong. That's not good for the business. That's wrong for the business. You know, I've got, for example, Paul Smith's fighting in a couple of weeks' time, I think, on Sky show. It's not a problem for me. None of that's a problem for me, but it is. And I think even sometimes we've even put some of these fighters that we've got contracts with into the prize fighter thing. So none of that's been a problem for me, but you never see that being returned, and that is a recipe for for badness. But we're gonna have a press conference next week with which would be quite interesting regarding British boxing.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
It will be interesting.
No inklings?
Yeah, inkling. There'll be a press conference next week regarding.
Give me something, Frank. Come on.
I'll just give it to you.
Right,
so you always want more.
Yeah, no, but it's our job to do it. All right, well, Frank Warren, thank you very much for talking to iFILM. I think if you actually personally went on Twitter, I think people would be interested to know what you had for breakfast.
Sure
What did you have for breakfast this morning, Frank, by the way?
Do you know what? I missed my breakfast this morning because I was working hard. I was in the sauna.
Okay.
I was in the sauna this morning. Okay. On my own, though. No fighters with me.
Okay, no problem. In closing, have you got anything else to say, Frank?
No, I'm quite happy the way we're plodding along. It's funny, Box Nation started out more or less the same time as you guys, and it's quite interesting to see how you was probably told it won't last, and I'm sure we were told it wasn't going to last.
We was told that.
Where you're going. It's all about determination. It's about having the mettle to go in there and do it and do your own thing, and that's what you've done. And I think that it's been good for us what we've done with Box Nation. We created, another outlet for boxers, because if there was just one boxing channel, then there would be or one channel showing boxing, then it would be a big problem for the sport.
Okay. Right, Frank Warren, thank you very much for talking to iFILM London again. And listen, we'll catch up with you next week at your press conference. Yep. Sounds very SAS, but we'll wait for it next week.
Sail through the wind at the game.
Definitely. Kogan Cassius with Frank Warren for iFILM London. Thank you very much.